Sometimes life surprises us in ways we never expect. This is the story of a wealthy CEO who mocked his janitor in front of everyone, only to discover the janitor's hidden past that left him and his daughter completely speechless. In the heart of the city stood a towering glass building, the headquarters of a major corporation run by Richard, a man who thought money and power defined true worth. Richard was proud, arrogant, and loved to show off his status. He believed everyone had a place, and janitors, in his eyes, belonged at the bottom. One of those janitors was Daniel. Quiet, humble, and hard-working, Daniel rarely spoke unless spoken to. He swept the floors, polished the railings, and kept the building spotless. But despite his silence, he often became the target of Richard's cruel jokes. One afternoon, while showing off to his executives, Richard spotted Daniel nearby. With a smirk, he pointed toward the rooftop helipad where a shiny corporate helicopter rested. Richard, mocking, "Tell you what, janitor, if you can fly that helicopter, I'll marry you myself." The room burst into laughter. The executives roared, amused by their boss's arrogance. Daniel lowered his gaze and said nothing, but his silence wasn't weakness. It was power. Among those who witnessed the cruel joke was Emily, Richard's daughter. Unlike her father, Emily was kind-hearted, empathetic, and never judged people by their job titles. She often noticed how Daniel carried himself, with quiet dignity and a mysterious calmness. Later that day, Emily approached Daniel in the hallway. Emily, softly, "I'm sorry about what my father said. You didn't deserve that." "Don't worry, Miss Emily. People laugh at what they don't understand." Emily tilted her head, puzzled by his words. There was something more to Daniel, something her father and everyone else was blind to. A week later, the company hosted a grand charity event on the rooftop. The highlight of the evening was a helicopter demonstration arranged for VIP guests. Richard, fueled by pride, couldn't resist reigniting his taunt. Richard, loudly, smirking, "So Daniel's still mopping floors? Or do you want to prove yourself and fly this thing in front of everyone?" The guests chuckled. All eyes turned to Daniel, expecting him to retreat in embarrassment, but this time Daniel did something no one expected. He stepped forward. His eyes, calm but firm, locked onto Richard's. "Daniel, I'll fly it." The laughter stopped. Gasps filled the air. Was he serious? Emily's eyes widened, but instead of doubt, they sparkled with curiosity. Daniel walked toward the helicopter with quiet confidence. As he climbed into the cockpit, people whispered and exchanged doubtful glances. Richard folded his arms, ready to laugh again, but the moment Daniel's hands touched the controls, everything changed. His movements were precise, deliberate. He flipped switches, checked gauges, and within seconds the blades roared to life. The crowd gasped as the helicopter lifted smoothly off the ground. Daniel maneuvered it effortlessly, banking left, then right, rising higher into the evening sky. His control was flawless, like a master at work. Emily watched in awe, her heart racing. Richard's smug grin faded into disbelief. What no one knew was that Daniel wasn't just a janitor. Years earlier, he had been a decorated Air Force pilot. He had flown combat missions, saved lives, and earned medals of honor. But tragedy struck. He lost his family in a devastating accident. Broken, he walked away from the skies, from fame, from everything, choosing instead a quiet, humble life. But the skills of a pilot? They never leave you. As Daniel landed the helicopter gently back on the rooftop, silence fell across the crowd. The same people who laughed now stared in awe. Emily hurried toward him, her face glowing with admiration. "Emily, I knew there was something different about you." Richard, red with shame, struggled for words. Richard, hesitant, mumbling, I didn't know." Daniel looked him in the eye and said softly, "Daniel, that's the thing about respect. You should give it before you know." The words pierced Richard deeper than any insult ever could. From that day forward, Daniel was no longer seen as just the janitor. He had earned the respect of everyone, not because he flew a helicopter, but because he carried greatness with humility. Emily continued spending time with him, fascinated by his strength and story. Unlike her father, she valued people for who they were, not what they owned, and as for Richard, The once proud CEO learned a lesson he would never forget, that wealth and titles mean nothing without respect, and that the quietest person in the room might just be the one with the loudest story. So the next time you see someone overlooked or mocked, remember, behind every quiet face may lie a story of courage, sacrifice, and greatness. If this story moved you, hit the like button, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. And tell us in the comments, what hidden talents have you discovered in people you least expected?